Perfect. So for the purpose of this interview, please tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Aminat Sule. I am a political activist, very passionate about Nigeria. My background is in law. I've basically studied law practically my whole educational academic journey. I am also a qualified international arbitrator.
Amazing, amazing. So I guess congratulations are definitely in order for you recently completing the bar, and it's incredibly inspiring to see like a Black woman, especially in the UK, defying odds and I guess just striving for exactly what it is that you want. So how do you sort of see yourself using your knowledge, skills and extensive experience within different industries to aid the development of Nigeria?
Such a big question. And also, thank you for having me on today. I really, really do admire your platform. And I think it's absolutely brilliant that you're bringing together people in the diaspora who have the same agenda. And I hope like God continues to use you to do great things. But thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
In regards to the development of Africa and Nigeria, I hope that my expertise from an international point of view can help to kind of reshape models, policies that are currently, in phase in Nigeria at the moment. So I guess my personal aim would be to work with organizations from NGOs to the government in Nigeria to create more friendly policies to improve the livelihood of an average Nigerian. Of recently in particular, we've seen a lot of people from Nigeria relocating and to the UK, especially over the last few weeks. And honestly, I am happy for them. But in the same breath, it's sad to see so many people having to feel like they have to flee their country to seek better opportunity. So my hope is to go back to Nigeria and create better structures that will benefit the average Nigerian to allow people to actually want to stay in the country that they've come from, to provide opportunities for them so they don't necessarily need to see it as, they're fleeing to survive or to fight for their life. So that's what I hope to do, work with different Nigerians across the international spectrum and Nigerians in Nigeria to create a better Nigeria that works for every single Nigerian living in Nigeria.
Amazing. I think that's definitely a very admirable goal, and a goal that I don't believe that you will not miss. Like, you absolutely will definitely hit that. And you touched on something quite key, the fact that there are very talented Nigerians sort of leaving the country. And I think that narrative is very much common across the continent, that we find that a lot of our talent is actually sort of being exported out rather than, being maintained and cultivated in-house. So obviously there are loads of diasporans sort of doing amazing things across the world within their respective industries. How do you actually think that diasporans and Africans can collaborate and work together for change?
I definitely think something that I have personally done is, I think some people make the mistake of trying to identify with the people who actually live on the continent and their struggle. And that's a very big mistake, because you cannot identify. If you have lived in a Western country your whole life, you know what it's like to have stable electricity, stable roads, stable healthcare. Whereas somebody who has lived in, for example, Nigeria, their whole life does not have those, luxuries. And actually luxuries wouldn't be the right term, but is not exposed to those necessities, more like. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of trying to behave as if they know more because they're from the diaspora. So it's like, okay, I'm from a country that works, so I'm so educated and I know it. So you guys should just basically do this, do that. And it's very wrong. And I think that we need to actually work collaboratively with people on the continent. And it's a partnership. You can't just come from the Western world and just influence the laws based on your experience in the Western world. You have to actually understand, identify the struggle that the average Nigerian goes through and work with them hand in hand. Their knowledge is as valuable as yours. And it's together that we can create a forward-thinking partnership. So I think that's a very good approach to adopt if moving back to the continent or trying to improve the continent as a diaspora is something that you want to do. Also be educated. This Independence Day was a very sad one, and the atmosphere was definitely very gloomy for several different instances that have happened over a long period of time, but more so within the last year. And I was really disappointed to see the regular diaspora posts.
Right.
A lot of them were misinformed, uneducated, and I felt like a few people, I mean, there wasn't a large number, but there was still a significant number that I could recognize of people who were just posting as normal and celebrating Nigeria. Oh, what a great country. And I just thought, I mean, yeah, the talent is absolutely great. The people are great. The culture is great. However, the economic situation in Nigeria is probably the worst. We've seen it since the independence. And I think people in the diaspora need to also just become a bit more aware and sensitive to what is going on in Nigeria at the moment. And if you don't know, it's a search away. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a key point that you've raised, because not just for Nigeria, but I think for other African countries that have diaspora across the globe, we often see that kind of sort of gap in understanding when it comes to sort of celebrating things like independence, because our experiences as outsiders looking in are very different to those that are actually living there. For example, not having stable electricity, the rates of sort of buying mobile data, the structural issues of unemployment. There are so many issues that we cannot relate to, but seem to celebrate because we go back sort of for holidays or at Christmas, and it seems like such a great place to be. But there are harsh realities that we need to be confronted with. So before we kind of discuss Nigeria at 61 and kind of talking about more topical issues, we cannot sort of go on without talking about like your tenacity, which is honestly so admirable, having worked as a self-appointed PA to the former president of Obasanjo. So for those that do not know this story, just briefly tell us what happened and the main lessons that you gained from this experience.
Okay, so I was invited to an event, and I knew the former president, His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, was going to be on the panel. Those who knew me prior, I've always been extremely passionate about Nigeria, Africa, the continent. So going to the event, I was quite starstruck because these are the things that starstruck me. And it was amazing to see, him speak and to be at such an event and still be so passionate about the continent, despite, all, his previous time in presidency, and the fact that his tenure is up, he's still extremely, passionate and active in regards to African politics as a whole. So what I have found is when people go to networking events and they know that someone of high caliber or somebody who they could possibly want something from or try to create a relationship from will be there, people are very fast to take and to request for things that they want, simply because it's a short space of time and they really need something. And I guess you're taught to do the elevator pitch quite quickly in life. Oh, okay, give a 1-minute synopsis about yourself if you were supposed to see a potential employer, vice versa. And I went to him and I was like, I want to serve you. And then he was kind of like, huh? And I was like, yeah, I want to serve you. I want to help. And I was very quickly like, actually, can we get him into a room? Can we get a glass of water? No interviews at this point. He needs a tea break. Just kind of following traditional protocol that would probably go on in Africa that wasn't being done here because it was in the UK. So everything was fast paced at the event. So I guess I had something to offer, which was to serve. And he was kind of like, who are you? I think he was kind of hesitant at first, who's your dad? Where do I know you? And I'm just like, no, follow me. We're going to go to a room. We're going to get you this. Then the organizers have asked me, are you a part of the team? And I'm like, yep, yes, I am. Can we have this? Can we have that? And I guess the relationship kind of formed from that. And I guess one of the key lessons that I've learned from that I knew before, but it reassured it for me, is every single person is a human being. And I think sometimes we get so intimidated by titles, by achievements, and we just forget that people are actually normal human beings. And I think it also makes success a lot more attainable when you look beyond titles and you actually realize that, wow, this is actually another human being just like I am. And then you start to believe that, you know, it actually is possible. So I guess through that whole situation that happened, it definitely just showed me that, you know, the sky is attainable, and, you know, the goals and the visions you have are attainable, and just try to be someone who adds value to situation. Even if the value is minute, just be remembered for adding value. And I guess that's how that whole situation came about.
Amazing. I think you dropped so many gems that hopefully people watching and listening will definitely take away and implement. But the one that struck out to me the most important was actually service, and the fact that it's really important for us in our own capacity, in our individual spheres of influence, to look at ways in which we can serve. And obviously in this discussion, we're obviously discussing serving our countries and our continent as a whole. So moving on to Nigeria at 61. So obviously at the time of this recording, we are fast approaching the 1 year anniversary of the horrific Lekki Tollgate massacre. As a young Nigerian, please express your sentiments, towards this atrocity and your thoughts towards the future of Nigeria.
To be honest, as you said, a shiver went through my spine.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. Like, I cannot believe it's been a year already.
Yeah, a shiver definitely went through my spine. Sorry.
No, it's okay, take your time.
The Tollgate incident is so sad because it's a year after and people are still fighting for justice for their lives. And it's just really, really upsetting to know that there are still police brutality cases, and there are still, you know, unjust things happening. And it almost feels like, the attention was on Nigeria for the minute that it's happened. And I feel for the families who have lost loved ones. I feel for the friends of families that have lost loved ones to that incident. It just goes to show how much more we have to go. And, you know, I was on the panel in Nigeria for quite some time, and sitting and hearing the cases, there's still a lot that we need to do from a reform point in reforming the Nigeria police. You know, the lives that are lost cannot go in vain, and for all the people that shedded blood on that day in whatever capacity, the numbers are still being disputed. But even if it was 1 life or if it was 50 lives, it was still lives that have been lost as a result of mismanagement, as a result of poor conduct, as a result of bad service from the Nigerian police and the government. And I think that it's a tyranny in itself, and we need to actively be working towards reform, and an incident like this cannot happen again. It's actually wow, and I'm lost of words. I'm lost of all English, all grammar. In that we've actually got to a point where we're a year on in literally the next week or so. It's devastating. It's devastating, and I can only hope that us in the diaspora do not forget what happened, and we are constantly reminded of it, and it's at the back of our minds, and we consistently work towards creating a better Nigeria, because it could have been any of us, really. It could, and it still could be any of us. A lot of us are traveling, and we all go to Nigeria at some point, and it could be you. So
Absolutely. I think you raised some really great and pivotal and key points that we need to not forget. The fact that reform is definitely needed, and we all need to be educated and well informed about the issues that are going on the continent, specifically in Nigeria, and look at ways we can contribute in our own ways. So you did sit on the panel, as you did mention, as international counsel. What was this experience like for you, sentiment sort of aside, but more so bringing your expertise and knowledge? And what were your main takeaway points so that we as viewers and those that are watching at home can actually go away and think about how they can contribute to Nigeria's development?
Yeah, great question. So in regards to the panel, I mean, it was making sure that things are done in regards to international guidelines. So looking at conventions, the human rights conventions, the African Union, looking at different policies that are already in place, and just ensuring that, you know, things were being complied with in regards to evidence, in regards to the procedures happening. I guess one of my main takeaways were, and I still feel like it is my main takeaway, is that compensation is not enough. Financial compensation is nowhere near enough. And, you know, I guess for some people, financial compensation may feel like an immediate solution because they may have lost a breadwinner, they may have lost the sole provider. So compensation, to some extent, is some form of immediate remuneration for some of the things that have happened. However, it does not solve the problem. It does not solve half of the problem, in fact. And I'd like to hope that a lot more focus is actually put into reform, monitoring reform, monitoring the suggestions that the panel have made in regards to police brutality, in regards to suspension of police who have conducted misconduct, and ensuring that there's follow-up processes put in place, ensuring that, you know, disciplinary action is put in place, ensuring that compliance procedures are also put in place. And I guess that's where people from the international spectrum now come in, people who are skilled in compliance, skilled in policy writing, then come on board and actually say, well, we could write the policy like this. This is what the current policy says. And if we put in these new measures, we can ensure that things are done with. And then also enforcement is very, very key. So we need to also ensure that hand in hand with the policy, hand in hand with, you know, the reform, that there's enforcement procedures put in place by the Nigerian government, sanctions, heavy sanctions put on the Nigerian police force. Also look at international sanctions from the outside of Nigeria, from the African Union, from ECOWAS, all of those different parties and policies. Sanctions from that point of view is also very important, just so we can have a balanced line of execution. So I think these are the ways that we can eloquently, going forward, ensure that things like this do not occur ever again.
Absolutely. I think the external sanctions point is something that's quite pivotal, that really does need to be enforced across the continent to prevent atrocities like this and previous atrocities we've seen over the last few decades from occurring. And like you said, that's where the international community does come in to be able to push these forward. And I mean, I do hope that this video somehow, some way, ends up on the laptop or phone of someone, of people in power, that can utilize talent in the diaspora and on the continent to be vehicles for change. So you mentioned earlier a better Nigeria, right? So 61 years post-independence, what does a better Nigeria look like to you? And I'm not talking like a utopian, like, oh, we have like smart cities and cars that are flying and all of these things, but no, like realistically, what does a better Nigeria look like to you? One that you could like potentially live in, raise a family in, and build and assist in the building of industries?
A better Nigeria looks like, for me, a Nigeria that is fair, a Nigeria that has equal opportunities, a Nigeria that has the legislation in place, and the legislation actually works and it's efficient and it's effective, a Nigeria that every single individual can benefit from, regardless of their background, their culture, their pockets. They can all equally benefit from similar or the same opportunities. A Nigeria that is not classist. You know, these are some of the factors I think that will create a better Nigeria. But then it comes down to how. So it's the how do we actually enact some things. And I think the how comes from and I think gradually it's changing. There's a level of frustration in the air. And I'm hoping that that level of frustration that we're at, it can now be converted into people actually realizing that at this particular point that we are at, it's either do or die. Because too many people are losing their lives. The economy is on the brink of collapsing. The Naira is about 720 Naira to £1.
Wow.
So that means that I think right now about £1,000 is 770k. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. There was a point in time where you could go from Nigeria to the UK and spend Naira in the UK. I think it was around the late 1960s, early 1970s, you could spend Naira in the UK. That is, you couldn't even, it's absolutely impossible now. And, you know, businesses are suffering as a result of that. It's got to a point where now, over the last few years, especially, businesses in Nigeria have started to bill in foreign currency because they can't afford to bill in the current currency. And if that doesn't show where the economy is at, then I don't know what does. It's a clear indication that the economy is literally is about to plump. And I think now at this particular point, how do we move forward? Well, PVPs. People have been frustrated with the current government. They say APC and PDP is the same party. Agreed. However, at this point, we can't play the blame game anymore.
Right.
We can't sit here and continue to find comfort in blaming what has happened at the past, because it's counterproductive. How do we move forward if we're going to consistently spend, 60% or 70% of the time blaming prior generations from where we are now? That's not going to create any solutions for us. So solutions are working with the governments that are at hand now. And also, I think we also need to all drop our shoulders. Youth need to drop their shoulders. The elderly need to drop their shoulders. The Gen Z need to drop their shoulders. We all need to work hand in hand. There's this atmosphere in the air that, we want to get rid of all of Nigeria's leaders. It's not possible. It's quite frankly not possible. Right. So what do? We sit with them. We can't disregard their exposure and their experience. They have actually seen Nigeria's trajectory. There's some people who are in politics who, yes, have been in politics for a long time. However, the expertise that they have that we don't have is time. It's knowledge, it's generational knowledge. So we cannot say, okay, well, because they've done us bad for so long, or we haven't seen change and now we're suffering, we want them all out. Practically, that's not a practical solution.
Right.
The practical solution would be, okay, what experience do we have? What new innovative ways do we know as a younger generation? And how can we work hand in hand with the elder generation to make that work? And I think, one of the things that I've been able to learn, over the last few years is when someone is in power, they don't want to leave their seat. So what happens is they'll either settle the person to their left, or the person to their right will make them feel uncomfortable, and they will tell the person to the right to go because you've caused discomfort. So if this is the current game that is being played, or the current play, shall we call it, that is being demonstrated across the continent, we now need to think, okay, cool. This person isn't ready to give up his seat. This person is, if he speaks too loud, he's dismissed. So what happens now? We need to work collaboratively. If there's a better Nigeria, everybody benefits. In some capacity, if Nigeria's country is functioning, everybody benefits. So that needs to be the end goal. How do we work together? We can't keep highlighting the differences with the hope that arguing on the differences will bring us closer towards a solution. Very impractical. So what we need to do now is we need to, drop our shoulders, forget the blame game. We are here now. We've got to this point. What are the solutions moving together? Working collaboratively. There's a lot of tribe issues in Nigeria. I'm not too sure about if it occurs so magnificently in Ghana, but I know for sure that in Nigeria there are tribe, there's disputes in regards to tribe. So even down to business, someone may not do Hausa person may not necessarily want to do business with an Igbo person. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We're from one country. The country is not divided, for goodness sake. So let's try not to make it divided, and let's work together collaboratively, use our differences as advantages. And I think that is the key in moving forward to really creating a Nigeria that we can all benefit from.
Absolutely. I think the two things that you said that I really just want to stress on is continuity when it comes to sort of government, like not looking at the blame game and actually looking at carrying on the good, if any at all, that was done by previous parties and previous governments, and continuing that for the new party that is in power. And also for collaboration, so looking across the economy, across the country, and all stakeholders have a role to play in the development. Just because you're in the public sector, private sector, whether you work with charities, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a young person or a creative, everyone actually has a role to play. And like you said, when we all do our bit, it propels the growth and the development of a nation and creates a better Nigeria. Now, I don't think that's very it's far-fetched. I do think it is attainable. And it is something that I do pray that we are able to see in our lifetime, if more of us can look at working sort of collaboratively across industries and sectors. So I guess finally moving on to the future of Africa, and more on a personal note. So what advice would you give to young Nigerians, whether they be professionals, entrepreneurs or creatives that are watching this, that may be sensing a sense of frustration, as you mentioned, but also quite passionate like yourself in seeing change happen?
So I think one thing that I tell people is to do the best that you can, sincerely. Ask yourself, have you done the best that you can in this situation? Right. And once you're satisfied that you have gone outside of the box, inside of the box, turned the box upside down, then you've done your absolute best.
Yeah.
If you feel like, there's still more to do that more, because you have to give things your best. Another thing that I'm very big on is putting the weed in the bag. So yes, I said put the weed in the bag. There's a book by 50 Cent, and he says, put the weed in the bag. And I think sometimes we need to understand that at some point, this is what your role is, to is for a specific purpose.
Right.
And I think sometimes people are so fixated on the bigger goal, they don't actually realize there's levels that you have to acquire before you get to this big goal. So do every level and execute every level to the best that you possibly can. And in doing that, you're slowly achieving the bigger goal. Don't look at a goal that's, so big and just think, oh my God, I'm frustrated. It's not working. When will it work? And how will it work? Every single day you wake up, every single day you have a breath, you have, the breath of life. Every single day is a chance. And if that chance is you want to leave Nigeria, every single day is a chance. If that chance is you want to create a better Nigeria, every single day is a chance. So whatever your goal is, however big it is, every single day is an opportunity to meet it. So I think take each day as it comes, look at your goals and retrospectively break down your goals and make them attainable. And put the weed in the bag. If you're interning somewhere, don't put what your agenda is. Intern, be the greatest intern. You'll be remembered for serving and being the greatest intern more than you will be remembered for going in there and after 2 months trying to push your own agenda. Serve to the best of your ability in the position you're in currently, and watch space move for you.
Amazing. You've honestly said so many great things, and you really do have a really amazing mind, and a really great and evident passion for Nigeria and for the development of the continent. So my final question for you, because we could honestly talk all day, is what should people keep out for, and what is next for you?
Ooh. So what is next for me? I've heard that question so much last few weeks, and honestly, what is next for me is I'm about to take a break. Yeah,
rightfully so.
Yeah, so work hard now, shake bum later.
That's the agenda.
Yeah, not literally, but to some, I need to. I think sometimes when you've been running for such a long time, My life has literally been back to back for the last 5 years, personally, professionally, and I haven't had any time to pause, to reevaluate things, to look at my direction, to be still, to hear from God, to just kind of refocus. So I'm taking, the last few months of this year to just strategize, to refocus, to see what's next, to hear from God, to make sure I've to look back at my journey, see how far I've come, celebrate how far I've come, and then charge up for 2022, really. So yeah, watch out. I don't know. We'll see. Got no answer right now.
Amazing. Well, we'll definitely be watching this space. And I think, again, a key point to take away from what you said is rest, right? A lot of us are chasing big goals, breaking generational curses and looking to do and create impactful change. And the body needs to rest more. You need to stop, recharge, reset, like you said, recalibrate, re-strategize, talk to God, and figure out what your next is. And obviously we have no doubt here at InTouch Africa that you're going to do amazing things, and we really cannot wait to see where you end up. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you to all viewers listening. I'll be sure to kind of put all of your social media links and everything in the description box below and in the show notes, so everyone can keep up with the amazing work you have done, are doing, and will go on to do. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This platform is absolutely amazing. I will be sharing.
Thank you.
Guys, keep locked in. Take care.
Bye.